The CFL on CBC. Lions versus Argos, Saturday at 1 Eastern.
You are watching CBC television.
From Toronto, CBC Evening News with Suhana Marchand.
Good evening. The extra few days of summer vacation could end next week for the province's students, but in Toronto, rotating strikes may mean some long weekends.
Hire the 400 teachers that we need to bring the average class size down to 22 and go in the red, $27 million. Right now, we have our teachers in a strike position because that's what we're saying we won't do.
And we'll go close up on the film festival with a look at some dynamic Canadian filmmakers at a company you may not have heard of, but their films are making memories.
More and more you can see somebody like Rhombus and the people, the kind of networking that they do as the building of a true Canadian cinema kind of community.
School may be back next week for about 200,000 students because agreements with the teachers may be imminent. Catholic teachers have been positive to a compromise offer by the Minister of Education if the work stoppage ends soon. Simon Dingley has been following the story.
These locked out Toronto English Catholic high school teachers say they're fighting for their future and the future of education in Ontario. Late this afternoon, they gathered en masse to protest Bill 160 and the Ontario government's assistance. They increased classroom instruction time from 6 periods a day to 7.
I guess basically as teachers we want to teach. The frustration is that we don't see any end to this mess. Even if we do reach a settlement, we know that the government's going to come back for more and more and more. And
it's terribly demoralizing. Every year, year after year, we keep getting hammered, and there's no reason for it. The government has created this crisis. It's too bad.
But the head of the province's Catholic High School Teachers Union thinks a settlement may be near. Yesterday, Ontario's education minister announced school boards can count the time that teachers monitor hallways and cafeterias as instructional time, provided contracts are signed with school unions before Bill 160 is enforced this fall.
In the areas of Toronto and Durham where there's lockouts underway, the school board locking out students and teachers, my hope is that the boards will see the minister's announcements as an opportunity to lift those lockouts and allow the students and teachers back in, and I could have my teachers back in tomorrow.
We've had many compliments from teachers on the new curriculum. So
this afternoon, the Conservative Party previewed a 24-minute infomercial to be broadcast on TV tonight about its education reforms. The education minister warned school boards not to expect any more flexibility on Bill 160, particularly on the issue of limiting class size to 22 pupils.
Parents are concerned that their kids' classes are getting larger. Kids are not getting the attention that they deserve. So we are very intent upon keeping that cap, that lid on the class size.
But the chair of Toronto's public high schools says the compromise doesn't help her school board. Fewer students in each class means more teachers will be needed, and that means more expenses.
Well, our options are quite clear. We continue to allow the teachers to teach 6 out of 8, hire the 400 teachers that we need to bring the average class size down to 22, and go in the red, $27 million.
So, Hannah, I'm live in front of the Catholic School Board, and as you can see, there are hundreds of protesters here. Now, Nyberg concedes that her school board could face rotating strikes by high school teachers later this month. Getting back to the Catholic School Board for a moment, Joseph Martino refused to do an on-camera interview today. He says that his school board could also face increased costs if the government's concessions go ahead. Tonight, Martino is meeting behind closed doors with Catholic School Board trustees to discuss the issue.
Simon, a question of timing for you. Why is the Ontario PC Party releasing this infomercial now?
Well, the government's trying to sell its education reforms. It's trying to get its message out unfiltered by the media. And that message is that the education reforms will result in better quality education. Now, most observers feel Harris is trying to use a soft sell approach compared with a year ago when he played hardball with teachers' unions.
Thank you, Simon.
Thank you, Suena.
Talks also resumed between the York Catholic School Board and its unionized teachers. There's hope they can reach a settlement soon because a weekend deal would be too late to get the students back by Monday. Lauren Madelon has the story.
We're all working towards the same goal.
1,300 high school and elementary teachers on strike against the York Catholic School Board met their union today for an update on negotiations. The rank and file was told talks had in fact resumed in adjoining suites at a nearby hotel. The principal issue is the government's requirement that high school teachers instruct for 1,250 minutes per week. Right now they teach 1,140. Both elementary and high school teachers are also worried staff positions may be lost. Still, the union's leader says he's hopeful tonight.
We're talking about all these issues, so hopefully we'll see some progress.
The head of the English Catholic Teachers Association is also optimistic.
I've heard some very hopeful signs from the negotiating team, and they've attributed it entirely to parental pressure.
A weekend settlement wouldn't be soon enough for the 65,000 students in the York Catholic system. Their parents have been pressuring both sides to settle. Ed Aleto has children in both the elementary and secondary school systems.
They are doing it for themselves, both the government to save whatever they have to save and the teachers trying to gain whatever they're trying to gain. Let's face it, you're dealing with the union, you're dealing with government cutbacks. The people in the middle are the poor children and the parents.
There is some optimism because we are talking, and we're actually talking quite openly about all the different issues, both at the elementary and secondary level.
Negotiations continue tonight. Both sides said late today they hope they'll settle by the weekend. Lauren Madelon, CBC News, Markham.
Tonight, we'll go close up.
It's festival time again. Time to stop playing outdoors and get into a dark movie theater.
There she is now, lot number 72, the so-called red violin.
Hundreds of meters of 35mm fun that adds up to almost too much entertainment. Later. The smallest community council in the megacity is about to get a little bigger. The people in East York vote in 2 weeks for a third councillor to represent them at City Hall. Our municipal affairs reporter Adam Vaughn takes a look at the race.
Hammers and staple guns don't get a lot of rest in East York. It's been less than a year since the last municipal election, and on September 24th, voters here are going back to the polls. Amalgamation left the former borough with a community council of 2. The by-election aims to add a third tie-breaking vote to the local council.
I was actually the first person to come before East York Council in April of '97 and say, something's wrong here. We don't have a proper representation, and a community council of 2 people is dysfunctional.
John Papadakis is one of 8 candidates running for this new position. Beyond who gets to cast the deciding vote on local matters, there aren't a lot of issues in this campaign. And in the end, what it may come down to is a question of who is endorsing whom.
That is what we're finding on the doorstep.
Former councillor Gord Cran is endorsed by current councillor and former East York Mayor Michael Prue.
I won't owe Michael Prue anything. Michael and I go back a long way. I'm the person who got him into municipal politics originally. I also chaired his campaign for mayor here in East York.
Used to be divided
in the last election, Jane Pitfield finished 3rd, and there are reports that she sought local MPP and Education Minister Dave Johnson's endorsement this time to help her finish 1st. It's an allegation, though, that she denies.
I have asked for no political endorsements. In my opinion, endorsements hinder a candidate. I am running on my own strengths and will not attach myself to anyone else's coattails.
Now there's another former East York councillor who's in the running here. His name is John Antopoulos. He's bringing all kinds of Liberal heavyweights into the riding to give him a little push. He's had David Collinette and Dalton McGuinty, the provincial leader, by to try and help voters sort out who's who.
Adam, you mentioned Michael Prue, but the other councillor in East York, Case Otis, has he endorsed anyone?
If there is one councillor in East York who has no coattails, it's Case Otis. He embraced amalgamation last time, and he didn't win a single poll in the last election, despite the fact that he's the deputy mayor and he actually came in 2nd. Nobody wants to go near him, and he's sort of said that he's not going to play politics either.
Thank you, Adam. Police officers packed a courtroom in solidarity today for 2 officers charged by the Special Investigations Unit following a chase that led to the death of an elderly man. The two officers, Carl Helimo and Gerard O'Kane, were nowhere to be seen this morning as they were taken in the back door of the Ontario court. The charges have infuriated the police union. The officer's lawyer thinks there's nothing odd about them evading publicity.
They're not hiding from anybody. Where are they then? They're entitled to some privacy. Where are they? It's not your business.
Clyde Barnaby was killed last May following that high-speed police pursuit of a stolen van. The Special Investigations Unit is looking into another police chase that led to the death of a Burlington teenager whom they were chasing and nearly killed two other people as well in their house. The crash happened over the weekend on Hamilton Mountain. The driver left the road at a T intersection and ran into the home of Maria and Manuel Mota. The car exploded and the 14-year-old driver was killed. The Motas were in their bedroom at the time and were injured by the flying debris. Now, this is the 31st police chase the SIU has investigated this year. 5 have resulted in fatalities. A Toronto man spent 7 nights in jail and was headed for a year behind bars, all because someone made a mistake on a court document. John Pispadikis thought he had settled a little problem with a speeding ticket in court, but police showed up at his workplace and took him away in handcuffs. He was strip searched, threatened, and beaten up by other inmates.
I really wish this doesn't happen to anybody. It's a horrible experience.
Instead of saying he had a year to pay a fine, someone at court filled in the little box saying he had to spend a year in jail. A spokesperson for the Attorney General says the problem was human error made by the Justice of the Peace.
He's already said that he wants an apology, and that's one of the things that he's seeking right now.
Pispadikis' lawyers say it's a lot harder to get a man out of jail than it is to get one in. A member of the Reform Party made his first appearance in court in Saskatchewan today. Jack Ramsey is charged with a number of offenses related to alleged sexual assaults 30 years ago. It goes back to a time when Ramsey was an RCMP officer in Pelican Narrows in the northern part of that province. Ramsey is an MP and former justice critic for the Reform Party. Divers are back in the water off Peggy's Cove looking for the voice recorder from Swissair Flight 111. Bad weather threatened the dive earlier in the day, but they're getting a good, strong signal from the cockpit reporter and are hoping to recover it soon. Lab analysis has also dispelled an earlier belief that the plane sheared off the top of a large buoy in the crash area. The damage to that buoy was not caused by the jet. One of the hottest sites on the internet this month may be the pages and pages devoted to Kenneth Starr's report on the conduct of U.S. President Bill Clinton. It's not public yet, but already many of the president's adversaries think the last chapter should end with Clinton's impeachment. David Halton has the story.
Key Democratic senators were summoned to the White House this morning, part of a new bid by Bill Clinton to save his presidency.
He shared his feelings and apologized to us personally. We have expressed the hope that the president will continue to demonstrate his contrition to his family, to his friends, and to the American people, and he's indicated a desire to do that.
Later, at a White House awards ceremony, Clinton promised more apologies in the future.
A part of this process I'm going through of talking to people with whom I work and with whom I must work in your behalf to ask for their understanding, their forgiveness.
But no amount of remorse may save Clinton from the report and volumes of evidence delivered to Congress yesterday by prosecutor Kenneth Starr. Already, sources are saying the report is devastating. They say it lays out detailed evidence, not only that Clinton lied about his affair with Monica Lewinsky, but also that he obstructed Starr's investigation and tried to influence the testimony of grand jury witnesses. In Congress, Democrats and Republicans agreed today to make most of the report public, probably before tomorrow night.
It'll go on the internet. There will be hard copies available. Don't ask me for details.
Some Democrats warned that no one should judge the issue until Clinton has had a chance to rebut Starr's report.
This is not a process where we just go with whims or rumors or half facts or innuendo.
But even before reading Starr's report, many Republicans are demanding Clinton's resignation.
The president's actions have been corrosive to our national character and have debased the office of the presidency.
About the only real comfort for Clinton is that the public doesn't appear to want him either to resign or be impeached. A new opinion poll today indicates that for the moment at least, 69% of Americans want Clinton to stay on as president. David Halton, CBC News, Washington.
Up to the roof now, and Bill Lawrence with an early look at the weather. Bill?
Well, Suhanna, tonight I'm going to tell you a nice warm story. You'll remember, well, at least about a week or so ago, record-breaking temperatures all the way to Prince George down into Osoyoos in British Columbia. And that kept on going, and then the heat slipped over the Rockies. Record-breaking heat, Alberta. Record-breaking heat the last few days in Saskatchewan. Well, today it's moved into Manitoba. And you know what's next after Manitoba? Ontario. Today, Winnipeg up to around 32, 33 degrees. Record-breaking temperatures north of Superior at 24 at Geraldton today. And all this heat is moving into southern Ontario, albeit only for a day or so, but it'll be very reminiscent of the beginning of August. Here's the overnight low. Clear skies. We'll go down to about the normal for this time of year, near 11 degrees. Then for tomorrow, sunny and up to about 30 degrees. We'll tell you how long it'll last, and we'll show you the rest of the country in the upcoming weekend. Suhanna, of course, we'll do all of that a little later on.
Thank you, Bill. Still ahead on the CBC Evening News, one of the most expensive Canadian films ever. Follow the adventures of the Red Violin through nations and history. Coming soon to the Toronto Film Festival. Back in a moment.
Come on, Ralph. Let's go.
There are miracles, and there are miracles. Leon's Amazing No Money Miracle. Head in today for miracle prices on furniture, miracle prices on appliances, and miracle prices on electronics. And you don't pay for one whole year.
We could use some fresh towels around here.
Mr. President, you agree.
Oh, Triven. Breathe easy. Fast.
Mr. President, that's Huckley. Hugh Huckley.
Oh, Triven.
The Princess Margaret Hospital Foundation Cash and Cars Lottery for Cancer Research is here. 4 $1 million prizes and thousands of other cash prizes. 100 Chrysler cars and trucks. Viper GTS, Plymouth Prowler, Intrepid, Jeep Grand Cherokee, and more. Chances of winning are 1 in 12. Check the brochure recently delivered to your mailbox and act quickly to get your ticket on Ontario's largest Cash and Cars Lottery.
My computer doesn't have much power, and I downloaded a file. It took 3 minutes. It's time I'll never get back.
At Future Shop, we hear this kind of thing all the time. That's why we have big events like this.
Get 6 months, no interest, no payments with your Future Shop card on AMD-based computers, like this HP 300 MHz AMD K6-2 computer, just $12.99. Someday, everyone will save like this.
Now, before I download, I think twice.
When you're serious about the game, you need serious equipment. So get to the Canadian Tire Serious Hockey Sale and save like never before. With low prices on senior and junior equipment from the biggest names in hockey. CCM Tack Skates, Easton E-Flex Composite Stick, Easton Ultralight Pro Gloves, Titan ASD Exchange Stick. You play like no one else. So get to Canadian Tire Serious Hockey Sale. And save like no one else. The Serious Hockey Sale. Don't miss it.
It's something that can't be measured. It's a desire from within. It's called heart. The 16th Commonwealth Games continue tomorrow on CBC.
For the next 10 days, Toronto is the only place to be if you love movies and movie stars. Over those 240 hours, more than 4,300 hours of film will be shown. Do the math, it's impossible to see everything. So, to distinguish between the good, the bad, and the ugly, you're going to need a little help. And that's where John Northcott comes in. He is the good, although if you know John, he can occasionally be the ugly. But tonight he's on his best behavior at the Rosewater Supper Club for the opening night party. Johnny.
Suanna, this is just about as beautiful as I get. The opening night of the 23rd Annual Toronto International Film Festival. We're here at the Rosewater Supper Club where they do the kickoff cocktail party, renewing old friends, people in from all over the world for this. 250,000 people in all will attend film festival events. That's 311 films in total. The opening night gala after this party, they will head off to Roy Thompson Hall for something called the Red Violin. Now that brings us to Rhombus Media. You might not have heard of them unless you're directly involved in the film business, but with the Red Violin and last night the Perspectives Canada film opening up in this festival, all that is going to change.
Really, nothing has changed so much from the very, very first day of our company.
And you realize, oh yeah, well, I guess we're doing something that's interesting and that's unique because no one else wants to do it.
I think it's a combination of arts and sort of smart business.
Three of the 5 partners of Rhombus Media on the way to a meeting.
Slightly cheaper.
I didn't say that.
What about the George meeting?
April 2000.
You can go straight to telefilm.
And there's dozens and dozens and dozens of potential filmic scenes.
Directors Larry Weinstein and Barbara Willis-Sweet. Lawyer Danny Iron. Producer Neve Feachman. Sheena McDonald handles the marketing. They're smart, successful, and modest. You can get 2 out of 3 in the film world, but rarely the whole package.
It's a unique company in the sense that in a film culture where artists, filmmakers are always struggling to survive, it's a successful, independent, artist-run company.
Okay, let's wait for them to settle down.
Over the last 20 years, Rhombus has built an international reputation for making clever, marketable films, all based in one way or another on music. That specialization happened by accident. Their first film, done fresh out of film school, was about Feachman's brother, a pianist.
At the time that we were starting, for the first 5-7 years, we were just sort of struggling to make our films, and it seemed like because our first film was about music at school, that we couldn't get out of it. We couldn't shake that music thing, and it was like really, really depressing.
So that gives you a flavor of this year's festival.
Not only depressing, but challenging. When it came to selling their products to television stations, they started in Europe, where there was a better market for classical music programming.
In the beginning, there weren't slots that would fit these types of programs, but eventually broadcasters came around looking for things that would have a broader base appeal.
There's nothing stuffy about the Rhombus approach to classical music and dance. There's a rock and roll music video mentality, applying innovative camera angles and sets without losing respect for the music itself.
People were coming to see us saying, what is this with this rhombus look? We're hearing about this more and more. So I think in some ways we might have started a bit of a trend.
The troops live under, the cannons thunder, from Central Coast they are.
We do believe in sort of a democratic approach to music and to culture, and our whole aim has been to kind of demystify that forbidden place, the concert hall or the opera house, and kind of make it accessible and show people that, it isn't sort of intimidating.
It may be irreverent, but it's also very smart. An example of the company's unique approach is this construction site on Toronto's waterfront. When it's finished, it will be a music garden. Cellist Yo-Yo Ma worked with Rhombus to create a series of films inspired by the music of Bach. Those films went on to win 2 Emmy Awards and garnered the company a number of Gemini Award nominations. Ma also wanted to establish a garden inspired by the music as a lasting legacy. Rhombus and Ma raised the money and got the city to donate the land. It's this kind of imagination that has helped establish Rhombus's niche.
Dance is ultimately the same as music, and it's the same as architecture. It just kind of gets shown in different ways, but it's all sort of a feeling that's inside us that kind of comes out.
And I think that's important for us to get the pre-sale versus just as an acquisition.
Right.
See
So
that?
I know the shortfall is at this point, so.
Right.
Rhombus has expanded from Europe to a worldwide client base, and then a few years ago, the company took the next step. A little film, 32 films actually, called 32 Short Films About Glenn Gould. The late Canadian virtuoso was rhapsodized and explored using drama, fantasy, and humor. With a modest budget of $2.5 million, it was sold around the world and earned an avalanche of critical acclaim.
There she is now, lot number 72, the so-called red violin.
Then, the Red Violin. At $13 million, it's one of the most expensive Canadian films ever. Directed by Francois Girard with an impressive cast including Colm Feore, Don McKellar, who co-wrote the project, and Samuel L. Jackson. It traced the progress of a violin from its maker's hands in Italy to Vienna to England to revolutionary China and finally to an auction in Montreal.
So now we're too short on your side.
With that breadth of history using 5 different languages and the big budget, the folks at Rhombus knew they'd come a long way from a film school project.
If somehow it all backfired, we knew there was a very real chance of the company going bankrupt.
3 more hours!
Rhombus has also produced the other Don McKellar film at the Toronto International Film Festival, Last Night.
More and more you can see somebody like Rhombus and the people, the kind of networking that they do as the building of a true Canadian cinema kind of community.
It's just too much responsibility to ask us to raise that amount of money.
Well, she'd be good. She did a great job on Yo-Yo Stick.
So while they may have hit the big time, Rhombus has always taken risks, both artistic and financial.
It's just as hard to raise $2.5 million as it is to raise $13 million.
It's always been shot at risk, and we just, we just push ahead, and because if we don't shoot it, it won't happen, and if we shoot it, we'll get the money somehow.
Guys, it's terrible.
Look at that.
I know that.
Hi, Mike. Hi, I'm Mike Wise. The Toronto International Film Festival is just too big to let John Northcott cover all by himself. I'm upstairs at the Rosewater Supper Club with someone you'll probably hear a lot about at this year's film festival, writer, director, and actor Don McKellar. He's got a number of films in this year's film festival. His claim to fame tonight, he's the co-writer of tonight's opening night gala, The Red Violin. Now, Don, I know just opened up the Venice Film Festival a couple of days ago. Tonight, here it is, debuting in your hometown. How do you feel about this?
I'm very excited. I mean, we've been looking forward to the Toronto Festival for a long time. This is hometown, and we love this audience this year, and we've shown our films. Anyway, we're all excited.
What does it mean having your film open up here? What sort of boost does this give the Red Violin?
Well, I mean, I just think it's a great place for a film like this because it's an expansive film, it's an international film, and it's a great positioning because it kind of recognizes that it's a kind of gala film. I think it's appropriate.
Yeah, I've heard that described. It is a gala film. It is about a violin that you trace over several hundred years of history through a number of continents.
300 years, five countries, 5 languages.
You co-wrote this with the director, Francois Girard. Yeah. What sort of challenge did you face when it came to crafting this?
Well, I mean, the challenge was that it was kind of a biography. We thought of it as a biography of of this wooden hero, the violin. And we wanted to follow it from its childhood into its adolescence, where it discovers its sexuality, into its adulthood, where it discovers politics, and into its senior years. And it's hard. It's hard to give character to a wooden thing, but it was really fun. It was really fun to delve into all those different cultures and explore all those different time periods.
Okay, now from the festival, do you know what the plans are for the movie if people are watching this are interested?
After the festival, I think the plans here in Canada for it to be released in November sometime.
Well, thank you very much. Good luck with the gala tonight. We'll talk to you later. So we'll have a bit more of Don later on in the program, because we'll take a break now. But coming up, as our special coverage of the film festival continues, the elusive search for a theme. There's no movies of poor families heading west or south, no cheapo slasher films, not even a decent coming-of-age movie. Has Canadian cinema grown up? When we come back.
IKEA has everything to make this space more livable. Imagine the possibilities for your home. The 99 IKEA collection. Great new stuff, new low prices.
I didn't have a VCR, and two shows I wanted to watch were on at the same time. I missed one.
You don't think how hard life can be for some people until you see something like this? Good thing Future Shop has such incredible deals.
It's Future Shop's home theater event. Get no interest, no payments for 1 year on home theater products, like this Toshiba VCR, just $229, or this RCA DVD player, only $499. Someday, everyone will save like this.
I'll never know what that other show was about.
The more I see you, the more I want you. Somehow this feeling just grows and grows with every sigh. I become more mad about you.
Estee Lauder introduces two wonderfully different fragrances, both dazzling. Premiering now at Eaton's.
Bagels, I can honestly say, are one of my favorite foods. I like corned beef sandwiches. If my wife says, let's go out for a bite, it's a bite. In other words, I better be able to eat. Ultra Polygrip gives me a new lease on life. I'm enjoying life again.
My whole life I wanted a baby sister, and then one day he finally came. What was I thinking? At least it'll be a while before I get your little paws on these.
Up in the air, the changing winds, that can only mean one thing.
It's hockey season!
I'm Mike Preston, your local Lennox dealer. It's also home heating season.
I have the dish.
The big string!
The recliner.
I have the Lennox heat pump, furnace, and fireplace.
Yep, this season this is the best seat in the house, baby.
Ooh, thanks to Abbey Air Systems, it's also the warm one.
Lennox, one less thing to worry about.
A new generation in mobile communications. Fido is the proud sponsor of this sportscast. With Fido, you are the master.
A horrific nightmare.
It's the ticket to a new life.
We're going on a big boat.
Shipbuilding has become such an art.
No, the disaster is unthinkable.
Tragedy that grips the imagination.
This cannot have happened.
We're gonna die.
A compelling cast.
Any response, sir? No response.
Incredible stories.
Sir, I've lost my baby. Can you help me?
Titanic, Part 2, tonight at 8.
Hi, I'm Mike Wise, back at the Rosewater Supper Club. You're watching the CBC Evening News and our special coverage of the opening of the 23rd Toronto International Film Festival. We're going to talk about Canadian films right now, and it used to be pretty easy to recognize a Canadian film. It had a sort of an industrial sensibility to it. It was designed more to qualify for tax breaks than Academy Awards. This year, though, Canadian films are being a bit more difficult to define. Some are saying this reflects a new maturity in the industry, and certainly thematically, the Canadian films at this year's festival are all over the map.
How is the sex?
More, talk about something normal.
The sex is normal. Well, listen, at 72, it's still nice to be able to get down on all fours.
All right, that's out of here.
From the West Coast, there's Dirty, director Bruce Sweeney's second feature about the intersecting lives of 4 offbeat, obsessive Vancouverites.
And 2 years from now, we'll deliver the herd.
From the North, there's The Herd, a documentary from Peter Lynch that recreates one man's attempt to take a herd of reindeer across the Arctic.
You're not a man? I am John, known as the Baptist.
Phew. I thought you meant, like the whole crying game thing,
From the East, there's Extraordinary Visitor, a comedy where John the Baptist returns to Earth, well, St. John's, Newfoundland, actually, where he befriends a family and becomes a local celebrity, all while trying to find evidence the world is worth saving from destruction.
Hey, Pete, there she is. Isn't it good? Didn't I tell you to be great?
And this year, there are films from the past, a retrospective look at some earlier Canadian movies, like Don Shabib's 1970s classic, Going Down the Road.
To the women, gentlemen! To the women! To the women on Yonge Street!
If anything, these movies show just how far Canadian features have come, for just as Yonge Street has changed since Going Down the Road was made, so too has the Canadian film industry.
Well, Canadian films acquired a diversity that it didn't have, say, 10 years ago, and certainly didn't have at the origins of the festival.
We have finally, after I think 30 years of continual effort in this country, produced an infrastructure that allows really talented people to come together and make some international class films.
The Canadian film industry didn't start until the late 1960s, when the federal government set up a series of grants and tax credits to encourage production. Our early efforts weren't met with much critical success, and some efforts were, well, downright un-Canadian.
Gentlemen, this is Miss Cherry Forever.
But in the 1980s, with more American film and TV projects filming on Canadian soil, an infrastructure developed. Canadian production companies started growing, taking advantage of government grants and private investments to develop movies and TV series. Camera operators, sound technicians, and others could work full-time in the business, making a career in film a viable option.
It's only been in the last 20 years that a lot of people have had the chance to make their second film. I mean, we always had a situation where people could come along, they'd make a first film, and there'd be no money to continue a career.
Beyond pleasure.
And with that viable industry has come success stories. Directors like David Cronenberg or Adam Egoyan. Last year, Egoyan's The Sweet Hereafter opened the Toronto International Film Festival and went on to pick up 2 Oscar nominations. This year, many eyes are on actor, writer, and now director Don McKellar. Over the years, he starred in a series of Canadian films like Roadkill, Exotica, and the TV series Twitch City. He's all over the 1998 festival, acting in at least 4 films, writing 2 of them, and making his feature film directorial debut with Last Night. It kicks off the Perspective Canada series. It's about the last night of the Earth's existence and how a group of ordinary people react to it. Like a son trying to get out of a final dinner with his parents.
Well, Mom, it's the end of the world. The world is ending tonight at midnight, and that's kept me pretty occupied lately.
I'll check the dinner.
Would it hurt you to play along just once?
Almost immediately, you become an institution because people are desperate in a way for an official culture.
It's a dream that counts. It's nice you can still remember.
Eh bien sûr. Brandon.
Well, French was never your forte.
It's the old thing in that you're always asked to define Canadianism, Canadian culture, in a way that is bizarre, and that no American would ever get asked, what is this thing about Canada, what's going on with Canada, that kind of thing, and this film, and Cronenberg's and Adamson with the weird sexuality thing you have. And it's like, you know, we're just individuals making films.
It's split into different categories, types of location, types of act, type of woman.
What about bestiality? You done that yet?
Not on the list. It's just things I wanted to do, not just every perversion.
The one thing still eluding the Canadian film industry is a recent big box office success. Thanks to penny-pinching budgets and some strong international sales, most major films make profits, but there hasn't been a major crossover hit, like the Australians had with Shine, or the British had with 4 Weddings and a Funeral. Will the Canadian films at this year's festival go on to make millions worldwide? Some say that just doesn't matter.
Canadian cinema, English Canadian cinema, has finally developed some kind of international stature. It may not have a lot of commercial clout at this point, but on some level, we're making the kinds of movies the Europeans don't make anymore. We're making new wave films.
And we're back at the Toronto International Film Festival, the kickoff cocktail party at the Rosewater Supper Club. I'm joined by the man at the center of all this, Pierce Handling. Pierce, what's outstanding about this year's festival?
I think there's a great spotlight on Canadian cinema this year, and in some respects, Canadian cinema is beginning to come of age in a serious way. We're opening with The Red Violin, which I think is a really magnificent piece of work. International co-production, $15 million budget, stars, and also manages to retain its Canadianness, its intimacy. I refer to it as an intimate epic. There's a lot of other very strong Canadian films. Last night, we're opening Perspective Canada with that, couple of other Canadian galas. You just sort of sense this burgeoning awareness and maturity in the Canadian film industry, so I'm thrilled about that. The rest of the festival, it's a wonderful mix of international cinema from around the world. We're really thrilled and delighted. There's a huge number of directors, producers, stars attending, accompanying all those films, but I really think it's a wonderfully eclectic mix of films from around the world. People will find a film for them everywhere in the festival, and so yeah, we're just thrilled and delighted.
Of course, the real stars are the films, aren't they?
I always like to say that, exactly. I mean, there's movie stars, for some people the stars are the directors, the real auteurs of cinema, but of course finally it's the films at the end of the day that have to perform. It's the films that excite an audience, and we've got one of the best audiences in the world here in Toronto.
And finally, a lot of talk a week ago about the Air Canada strike. It's still ongoing. You say an international nature to the festival. People are coming from all over the world. How do things look for the festival in terms of people coming to it?
Well, Air Canada's been great. They're trying to reroute people and get everyone here. It's obviously disruptive. Some of my friends have amazing travel itineraries, but they really want to be here. Toronto, for them, is a kind of a must-attend event, doing everything they possibly can to be here, and hopefully the strike's going to be resolved as quickly as before the end of the festival. I'm Frank.
Pierce Handling, thank you very much. That just about wraps it up, except to say we're going to eat our vitamins and drink lots of water and somehow manage to survive this festival, Susan.
Oh, I think you've been surviving quite well, but tell me about your personal faves in this festival, Johnny.
Well, we've heard a lot about the Red Violin, and of the dozen or so I've managed to see so far. I know, Mike, Red
Violin, yeah, certainly enjoyed it. Don McKellar's other major film last night, which is actually kicking off Perspective Canada tomorrow night. Saw that, enjoyed that. I was talking to him. He's in 4 films. He's showing 32 films about Glenn Gould. He's 37 films, he said, is the latest count he's up to. I enjoyed that. Another film was Titanic Town, starring Julie Waters, a BBC production about a woman dealing with violence in Northern Ireland and trying to do something about it. Enjoyed that one. I don't know what other films you liked.
Yeah, I enjoyed The Imposters by Stan Tucci. He did Big Night a few years ago with the 2 guys that own a restaurant.
Oh, your list is probably far too long, but can I still get tickets, or do I just say I know John Northcott and Mike Wise at the door?
That won't get you any. That might get you thrown out, actually, Suhanna, but as to particular performance, we don't know, but there are still lots of tickets available for the 311 films that will play here over the next 10 days.
Well, go easy on the oysters and caviar. Have fun.
We will.
Thank you.
See ya. How many movies will you catch during this film festival? And with so many stars in town, whose autograph are you out to get? let us know. Also share your thoughts about our special coverage of this film festival. Our phone number is 205-7700. Our fax number is 205-7166. And here is our email address, tvnews@toronto.cbc.ca. Lots more to come here on the CBC Evening News, including Barb Andrusek with sports. And Barb, never mind Diana's dresses, we've got a hockey royalty. What are they wearing?
Well, from Hannah, the great one, unveiled some new duds. Pretty nice. But the crowd turns ugly. A mob scene breaks out at the Bay for the new Fashion Ranger. Details coming up.
Fido introduces a new handset so irresistible, it's inspired curiosity in some rather unexpected circles. Small, easy to operate, and extremely easy to look at, the new Nokia 5190 is sure to leave you taken aback. At only $75 for PCS or $150 for dual mode with national coverage, our newest Fido is bound to please, well, everyone.
When I do real well on a test, it makes me feel great, you know. It just brightens my day.
Finally, it clicked. Everything fell in place. The last piece of the puzzle came together.
At Sylvan Learning Center, our Study Skills program teaches time management, organization, and test-taking strategies that help students do their best.
I got that last piece of the puzzle.
Call Sylvan today at 1-800-EDUCATE. Success is learned.
The more I see you, the more I want you. Somehow this feeling just grows and grows. With every sigh, I become more mad about you.
Estee Lauder introduces two wonderfully different fragrances, both dazzling. Premiering now at Eaton's.
CHFI is Toronto's perfect radio station because everything just works so well together. I mean, take the music mix. Not too hard, not too soft. And the same with Don and Aaron. They go together like...
I have an egg?
Yes. Beauty and the Beast? Uh-huh. Or a fresh hot coffee. Well?
CHFI, Toronto's perfect music mix.
Just listen for yourself and you'll see. I mean, here. I mean, you know what I mean.
3 Arabian stallions. 300 years ago. The fathers of thoroughbred racing. When their descendants meet at Woodbine, it's always an emotional family reunion.
This used to be my life. I'd wake up morning after morning with my allergies driving me nuts. So I went to my doctor. As part of an overall treatment program, he recommended a Honeywell EnviroCare air cleaner. It uses the same HEPA filter technology hospitals use, and it helps to reduce airborne allergens in my room. I wish I'd done it sooner.
The Honeywell EnviroCare air cleaner, the #1 choice of physicians.
There's so much going on in the arts, but there's one place that's got it all. Infoculture. CBC's online arts and culture magazine. Everything you need to know about the arts anywhere in Canada. Infoculture.cbc.ca.
A new generation in mobile communications. Fido is the proud sponsor of this sportscast. With Fido, you are the master.
Welcome back. I'm Barbara Andrusek. When you think of a hockey game, you usually think of a rough and tough sport that involves hard checking, an elbow to the head, and a fight or two to break out. But when you think of a launch of a line of clothing, you think the opposite. Exception, Wayne Gretzky's new line of duds. It took dozens of security guards close to 45 minutes to get Wayne Gretzky down a short hallway. Thousands of fans jammed corridors in the main floor of a Bay department store to get a glimpse and an autograph from the Great One. Security staff spent the morning and part of the afternoon fighting off frantic autograph seekers, keeping number 99 safe from his demanding public.
It was a madhouse here. It was a madhouse in the hallway trying to get him into the elevator. People were literally running over each other. It was total, what you could say, chaos.
Oh my God.
Staff hoped the handing out of free autographed Gretzky photos would tame the crowd, and it worked for a while. It gave the 37-year-old Gretzky a chance to talk about his new clothing line and his future, which doesn't include retiring anytime soon.
I worked out all off-season getting ready for this year. My theory is, or my thinking is, I'm going to play hard all year. At the end of the year, I'll sit down and decide what's best not only for myself, but for the Rangers and for my family.
Fans out today wanted to know if this Brantford native has any thoughts about coming home and finishing his hockey days as a Maple Leaf.
Sometimes things aren't just meant to be, and I don't think I'll ever be a Maple Leaf, but that doesn't mean it wasn't the same as everyone else, that I was, dreams and aspirations as a child to one day be a Maple Leaf.
The fact that this Canuck plans to finish his career as a New York Ranger doesn't bother folks in Toronto. To most, he'll always be the #1 NHL player of all time, the Canadian who holds every meaningful NHL single season and career scoring record. And for many today, he's worth a bump or two just to get close to.
Everybody just kept, scratching and clawing to get a piece of him, and I was right next to him and got clobbered by a guard, but it was worth it with this autograph I got of him.
First round action today at the Canadian Open, and for the 20th time in the history of the event, Glen Abbey played host. The Abbey in beautiful condition, but it's never easy, even for PGA champ Vijay Singh. Looking at this for par on the 14th, he's into the gully. He would end up with a double bogey, moving to 2 over. As for the Canadians, Dave Barr was steady, if not spectacular, here with a birdie to end his 1-under round of 71. Tim Herron had a great start here, chipping in, moving to 5 under to take the lead, but he would bogey his last hole to end the day 4 under. Meanwhile, Chris Smith would finish with a fury, including an eagle on 18 to take sole possession of the lead at 6 under. Smith brilliant over the final 4 holes. The top Canadian after the first round is Glenn Natchuk, who is 4 shots back of Smith. And in closing, the Jays are in New York tonight in a make-it-or-break-it series. Toronto's 4.5 games behind Boston in the AL wildcard race. And that is my wrap on sports.
We'll be back with the national weather picture right after this break.
Come on, Ralph. Let's go.
There are miracles. And there are miracles. Leon's amazing no money miracle. Head in today for miracle prices on furniture, miracle prices on appliances, and miracle prices on electronics. And you don't pay for 1 whole year.
We can use some fresh towels around here.
Ordering our airline tickets was a cinch. Introducing the most online from Sprint Canada. An internet service so easy, it's amazing.
I'll email the hotel for reservations.
Get unlimited internet access for just $22.95 per month.
Wow.
Your first month free.
Wow.
And a 24-hour helpline.
Wow. Check out this cool video.
Get on the internet with the most online. Call toll-free 1-888-232-EASY today.
The more I see you, the more I want you. Somehow this feeling just grows and grows with every sigh. I become more mad about you.
Estee Lauder introduces 2 wonderfully different fragrances, both dazzling. Premiering now at Eaton's.
I can't have chips to my lunch. Other kids have chips.
He gets chips, I get chips.
And I need skate shoes. Everyone else has them.
He gets skate shoes, I get skate shoes.
And I'm probably the only kid on the planet who doesn't have a CD player.
He gets a CD
Excuse me. You seem to have mistaken me for someone who's made of money.
It shouldn't cost a fortune to raise a family, so Zeller's is cutting prices on things you use every day.
Okay, take your time.
Yeah, right.
First word.
Okay.
All right. Long.
Dimensional.
Gigantic.
Sizable.
Huge. Large.
The next Lotto 649 jackpot is estimated at $5 million. That's big.
It sounds like no.
Air.
Pig.
Chicken.
Breaking. Shovel.
Something dig. What?
You need a lot. Dig. Wig. Hair. Wig.
Wig. What?
So get your Lotto 649 ticket today and say yes to Encore.
I got it. It's big.
I can see clearly now.
There may come a time when the most important question is where do we go from here? At Royal Sun Alliance Insurance, we've been helping people build new dreams with forward thinking since 1710.
Sunshiny day.
Call for a Royal Sun Alliance broker near you.
You're watching the CBC Evening News. Back to Bill Lawrence now on the weather across the country. Bill?
All set and away to go, and a warming story for southern Ontario. Out on the west coast today, it was cloudy. Rain moved into the Vancouver region late this afternoon. Temperatures there out on the west coast running around 21 degrees. In the interior, you can see it's cooled off. Temperatures getting from Edmonton all the way to Calgary into the low 20s. Also cooling off Saskatchewan. They've been up in the 30s today, in the mid to low 20s throughout much of the day. But the heat, as you can see, is now concentrated in Manitoba. Winnipeg at 31. Portage La Prairie mid-afternoon at 34 degrees. And the heat is moving eastward into Ontario. Not as far as Montreal and Quebec cities. Partly cloudy and 20 there today. Light rain at Goose Bay. And into Atlantic Canada, cloudy skies and temperatures running in the range of 15 to 20 degrees. Now, look at our systems map tonight. A center of high to the south of us. Fine sunny weather across just about all of this province. Now it's starting to initiate a westerly to southwesterly flow of warmer air. The leading edge is pushing way up into northwestern Ontario. Floods across the remainder of the province throughout tomorrow. And then by Saturday, the cooler air now into the prairie provinces swings in and brings us back to normal. Well, around the province today, from top to bottom, from east to west, wherever you look, considerable sunshine and temperatures around the 20 to 25 degree mark. Geraldton this afternoon, a record at 24. Red Lake, Pickle Lake, Sioux Lookout, just over by the Manitoba border, up to 27 degrees. And here in the south, temperatures on the normal side for this time of year under sunny skies, but all of this will change overnight and on into tomorrow. The overnight low under clear skies here in southern Ontario, right on the normal for this time of year. That'd be 11 degrees. Then for tomorrow, can you believe it? A touch of early August. We expect temperatures to get very close to or right on the 30-degree mark under mainly sunny skies. And then we'll say goodbye, because here's the way Saturday shapes up. Partly cloudy skies and temperatures sliding back to the norm for this time of year. Looks like a fine day for Sunday, though. Should be mainly sunny at around 25, and by Monday we'll settle down to a cloudy day and just a few showers. But for tomorrow, I guess we can drop the jackets and drop the sweaters and reminisce one more time of the summer of '98. Suhanna?
Thank you, Bill. We'll go back to the Glitz Fest with Mike Wise and look ahead to his plans for the evening. And Mike, one can only assume they're more exciting than mine.
I think so. Actually, we're following this crowd that is gathering right here. This being the opening night cocktail party before the people here go off to the big gala premiere tonight, which is the Red Violin at Roy Thompson Hall. The streets downtown should be clogged pretty soon with limousines driving from here over to Simcoe Street, letting out. We'll be there with some of the action as people get out, go in to attend the big screening in Roy Thompson Hall. From there, it's off to a wrap-up party for the first night of the festival down at Harbourfront. We'll be live there and have all the details tonight at 11:30 on the CBC Late Night News.
Mike, are you having fun?
I'm having a good time so far. Once this is over, I'll get some sleep and rebound a bit, I think.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
And that is the CBC Evening News. Join Ron Azawa tonight following the National. I'm Suhanna. For all of us here, thank you for watching. Until tomorrow, good night.
The more I see you, the more I want you. Somehow this feeling just grows and grows with every sigh. I become more mad about you.
Estee Lauder introduces two wonderfully different fragrances, both dazzling. Premiering now at Eaton.